The Ra material, also known as the Law of One, is a series of channeled communications from an entity named Ra, documented by Carla Rueckert, Don Elkins and James Allen McCarthy in the early 1980s. Ra presents itself as a collective consciousness from the sixth density, describing itself as a social memory complex of souls who have merged into a unified group mind. The material explores the spiritual philosophy that all existence is one, centered on the core concept of the Law of One, that all beings and phenomena in the universe are interconnected aspects of a single, infinite creator. The foundation of the Ra material is a spiritual evolution, which Ra explains occurs through a series of densities of dimensions. Human beings, Ra states, are currently in the third density, focused on self-awareness and moral choice, specifically the choice between two paths: service to others or service to self. These two paths represent two distinct spiritual polarities: positive, which emphasizes compassion and unity, and negative, which is based on control and separation. Individuals are encouraged to align with one path or another as part of their spiritual progression. Ra describes the universe as a place where entities evolve by learning specific lessons at each density level. The concept of reincarnation is central, as souls return through multiple lifetimes to achieve spiritual growth. A key part to this growth is the opening and balancing of energy centers or chakras within the self. Ra discusses how distortions or blockages in these energy centers can prevent progress, while proper balance can lead to higher states of awareness and ultimately transcendence to higher densities. Time and space, according to Ra, are not linear, but fluid and multidimensional. Ra explains that higher density beings have a different relationship with time and are capable of perceiving the past, present and future as interconnected. The material delves deeply into metaphysical principles, exploring topics such as karma, the influence of thought forms, and the impact of free will on spiritual development. Ra emphasizes that free will is a fundamental principle of the universe, guiding each soul's journey. The text also discusses the concept of harvest, which refers to the end of a cycle of spiritual development. According to Ra, humanity is approaching the end of a 75,000-year cycle, during which those who have sufficiently polarized towards service to others or service to self will graduate to a higher density, as it were. Those who are not ready will continue in the third density until they learn the necessary lessons. This process, Ra states, involves the assessment of one's vibrational state and level of consciousness, which determines one's readiness for the ascension. Throughout the sessions, Ra stresses the importance of self-awareness, personal responsibility, and aligning with the path of unity, love, and understanding. The material blends complex metaphysical teachings with practical advice on achieving spiritual balance and growth. Its dense and esoteric content requires thoughtful study, but many seekers find it to be a profound guide for exploring the nature of consciousness, the universe, and the purpose of its existence. For example, a key takeaway from Ra's discourse is the idea that the purpose of all existence is to know the self, accept the self, and become the creator, emphasizing self-reflection, acceptance, and the realization of one's divine nature. In summary, the Ra material offers a complex spiritual roadmap for understanding human existence, spiritual evolution, and the interconnectedness of all things. Its focus on unity, balance, and the individual's path towards greater awareness and service makes it a compelling work for those seeking deeper metaphysical knowledge and spiritual growth. The entire conversations between Ra and the questioner span multiple sessions and make up the complete Ra material series. These sessions are lengthy, detailed, and are presented as verbatim transcriptions of the channeling sessions held between Carla Ruickert, the channel, Don Elkins, the questioner, and Ra, the entity being channeled. The Ra material gives out several exchanges which stand out as particularly groundbreaking due to their highly detailed metaphysical, scientific, and spiritual insights. These moments often leave readers and researchers questioning how such detailed knowledge was obtained given the time period and the backgrounds of the participants. Here are some of the most striking instances that seem challenging for the questioner, Don Elkins, or the channeled group to have known without some form of advanced external knowledge. 1. The description of densities and evolutionary stages. Ra introduces a complex cosmology involving 7 densities or levels of consciousness evolution, which align with certain esoteric teachings, but go far beyond mainstream spiritual knowledge at the time. The detail with which Ra explains each density, how entities progress through them, and the spiritual lessons involved for each one was groundbreaking for readers and researchers. The idea of an evolutionary harvest process also adds a layer of mystery to human spiritual evolution, echoing themes from various traditions, but articulated with a distinct and structured cosmic framework. 2. Advanced cosmological and metaphysical concepts. Ra explains the creation of the universe through what it calls intelligent infinity, and describes how energy flows through a system of creation involving logoi, creative centres or intelligences such as stars. This aligns somewhat with a later scientific model of multi-universe theory and consciousness-centric cosmology. For instance, Ra speaks of the formation of galaxies and planets in a way that seems advanced and occasionally parallels or surpasses scientific understandings of the 1980s. 3. Discussion of ancient civilizations, the pyramids and technology. Ra claims to have been involved in the construction of the Great Pyramid of Giza, explaining that it was built using thought forms or crystalline structures, a technology that bypasses the need for conventional physical labour. The detailed description of the pyramid's spiritual and metaphysical purposes, for example as a healing and initiatory chamber, and its precision alignments seemed impossible for the channelers to know through traditional means, as much of this knowledge was not fully explored in mainstream archaeology at the time. 4. Accurate and unusual scientific knowledge. Ra describes the nature of light, vibration, and energy centres, chakras, in a way that aligns with modern quantum physics and concepts that were not widely popularised until the early 1980s. For instance, Ra elaborates on how light and energy form matter through vibrational principles and discusses subtle bodies, or energy bodies, of humans in terms that echo more recent integrative models of consciousness and health. 5. The healing process and chakra system. Ra's detailed explanation of how the human body's energy centres, chakras, relate to physical, emotional and spiritual health seemed well beyond common knowledge for many readers at the time. Ra outlines precise ways to balance these centres, to facilitate healing and spiritual growth, discussing the unique blockages and characteristics of each chakra in a way that often correlates with the modern holistic and energy healing practices. 6. detailed and precise answers to complex questions. Throughout the sessions, Ra offers highly specific responses, including the exact percentage of spiritual polarity needed to graduate or progress to the next density, for example. Ra states that an entity needs to be 51% orientated towards service to others to progress on the positive path, while the path of service to self requires 95% dedication. Such specific numerical thresholds for spiritual advancement were unique and unexpected in metaphysical literature. 7. Knowledge of planetary and cosmic events. Ra's discussions about Earth's spiritual evolution, the concept of coming, harvest, and humanity's transition into the fourth density, align with themes found in esoteric traditions, but go far deeper into specifics. Ra also talks about the role of wanderers, advanced souls incarnating on Earth to assist in its spiritual evolution, and cosmic cycles that align with broader ancient prophecies and current metaphysical discourse. 8. Insights into UFO phenomena and extraterrestrial intervention. Ra provides a narrative about extraterrestrial involvement in human evolution, describing different entities' attempts to help or influence human development across millennia. This includes discussions about other higher dimensional beings, interactions, spiritual missions, and distortions that have affected humans' understanding of its place in the universe. Many of these elements presented in the Ra material continue to fascinate readers because of the depth, clarity, and coherence with which they are conveyed. The level of intricate detail, often framed in a scientific yet mystical way, raises questions about how this information could be generated without a source or connection to a broader metaphysical understanding. The impossible to know quality becomes evident when readers see just how aligned some of Ra's teachings are with later scientific developments or complex ancient spiritual philosophies that had not been as widely accessible in Western consciousness at the time. Thanks for listening, and if you've enjoyed this, give it a like and a subscribe. Thanks.